Hey everyone, it's Allie and welcome to my channel, and today I want to talk to you about the 10 books that I need to read before the end of spring. Alright you guys, so yes, 10 before the end of spring, basically my May and June TBR, could not even remember what month we were in, so my month of reading for April did not go super well. The books that I picked out were all rereads, which I think was great in theory. I really wanted to read all those books, but I think because I knew what was going to happen in all of them, I did not have that sense of like, oh, I really want to read this right now. I also did have quite a lot of visitors come during the month. About half the month people were here, so that for sure took up a lot of my time. I really don't get a chance to read at all when people are here. Absolutely worth the trade-off. But because of that and the fact that I do still want to read all the books that I didn't get to in April, I'm just kind of doing one TBR video for the next 2 months, and I do think that I will be able to not only finish my April reads, but also read these 10 books that I've picked out before the end of June. But I think I've got a good mix of some thrillers, some literary fiction, some historical fiction, and all of these books I've been seeing on my shelf and I've been really itching to get to. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into the TBR. So up first, we have actually the second book in a trilogy, and that is Siege and Storm. This is the second book in the Shadow and Bone trilogy by Leigh Bardugo. So I read the first book, I think, back in January, and I'm trying to be better about not letting so much time go by in between books in a series, because I don't have the best memory and I start to forget things, and I just feel like overall I have a better reading experience if I read all the books in a series either back to back to back or at least like one a month. So ideally I actually will finish this trilogy before the end of spring, but I only have the second book right now. But the first book was a pretty quick read, so I definitely think I could read book 2 and book 3 in one weekend. But I did really enjoy the first one. I did give it 5 stars, and if you did miss my quarter 1 book review, I will have that linked up above where I did talk about the first book. But this is a YA fantasy series, and I feel like it just has a lot of what I enjoy in a YA fantasy. There's a lot of action, adventure, it's pretty fast paced. We've got a little bit of a love triangle going on. Just overall a very enjoyable and fun read. I'll see in the future once I finish this series, once I've finished the Six of Crows duology, which is connected to Shadow and Bone. We'll see if it ends up being like a favorite of all time, but I know it is for many people, so I do have high hopes. Okay, next up we have The Cautious Traveler's Guide to the Wastelands by Sarah Brooks. Very pretty cover. It's giving Slytherin. This I think is pretty recent. I got it from Book Outlet. Yeah, this just came out last year in 2024, and this book is set on a train, which I love. I love an isolated story. I love a train voyage. And this says, "It is said that there is a price that every passenger must pay, a price beyond the cost of a ticket. There's only one way to travel around the wastelands, on the Trans-Siberian Express, a train as famous for its luxury as for its danger. On the train's last journey, something went horribly wrong, though no one seems to remember what exactly happened." So we've got this cast of characters, which I love. Feel like we're gonna find out secrets about all these people. And the last line is, "Can the passengers trust one another as the wildness outside threatens to consume them all?" This feels like it could potentially be a 5-star book. Like the last one, I do have high hopes, so I hope it doesn't let me down. Sounds like a kind of magical realism, mystery type adventure story, which I absolutely love, so hopefully it lives up to what I'm imagining it to be in my mind. But I think that this one did get pretty good reviews overall, so let me know if you did read this. And of course look out for my quarter 2 book review to see if that and all these other books lived up to the hype. Now we have a nonfiction book by one of my favorite authors in the genre, and that is Erik Larson. So he wrote The Devil in the White City, which is for sure one of my favorite nonfiction books of all time. It was a top book for me last year, I think. So this one, Thunderstruck, tells the stories of 2 men, Holly Crippen, a very unlikely murderer, and Guglielmo, I apologize to you, Marconi, the obsessive creator of a seemingly supernatural means of communication, whose lives intersect during one of the greatest criminal chases of all time. So another setting that I love. I love books set on boats, so this book is a true story, of course, set on the stormy coasts of of Cornwall, Cape Cod, and Nova Scotia. So it sounds like there's a crime, there's a little bit of a mystery going on, but there also is a sad and tragic love affair. So I think this is going to be a very interesting story. I've been looking at it on the shelf, I've been waiting to read it. Spring, I think, is going to be the right time. And yeah, if you have not read anything by Erik Larson, highly recommend picking something up by him. He has a fantastic ability to take real life stories, weave them together in a very interesting way, and overall just present nonfiction in a very readable, bingeable way. So absolutely, I'm going to get to every one of the books that he's ever written eventually. I think I'm 2 in, and I've still got quite a bit to go. Now we have a thriller. This is You Are Not Alone by Greer Hendricks and Sarah Pekkanen. I did read another book by them. I think it was The Golden Couple is the one that I read, and I really enjoyed that book. It got 5 stars from me, which is pretty rare. Like, I do love to read thrillers, but I feel like a lot of them get between 4 and 4.5 stars. But they're great authors. I really enjoyed my reading experience with the book that I read by them. It says, you probably know someone like Shay Miller. She wants to find love, but it eludes her. She wants to be fulfilled, but her job is a dead end. She wants to belong, but her life is becoming increasingly isolated. You probably don't know anyone like the Moore sisters. They have an unbreakable circle of friends. They live a life of glamour and perfection. They always get what they desire. Shay thinks she wants their life, but what they really want is hers. So not a lot to go off of there, which I actually really like. We just get the vibes, and the vibes are good. This is probably going to be a book that I read quite shortly, because I feel like I haven't read a thriller in a while, actually. I think I read so many in the fall and like early winter that by the time spring hits, I'm really itching for like some literary fiction, historical fiction. And speaking of that, this is one that I've been intimidated by, but it's time to read it. And that is Swan Thieves, The Swan Thieves by Elizabeth Kostova, who wrote The Historian, which I know a lot of people really love. I still have to read that one. Gorgeous, gorgeous cover, very spring, but it's pretty thick. And I feel like with historical fiction, I really have to be in the mood for it because I know it's going to take a little bit more thought. But then when I do take the time to engage in a really thick historical fiction book like this, that's well written, that has an interesting story, those books end up being 5 stars, some of my favorite books of all time. So after a little bit of a reading slump in April, I'm actually dying to read like a very good, thick, engaging story like this. It says, the richly told, beautifully imagined novel takes us on a journey into the lives of the women left behind by the renowned painter Robert Oliver. So it sounds like Oliver goes to a psychiatrist, Andrew Marlowe, and as Marlowe is pulled deeper into Oliver's troubled mind, he uncovers a tale of love, betrayal, and artistic obsession, and finds surprising possibilities in a package of 19th century love letters. So I think this will be really good. I have a very strong feeling that this will be 5 stars. Next up, we have a YA thriller, and that is Such Charming Liars by Karen McManus. She's for sure one of my favorite in the genre, and this is a pretty new book from her. I've read basically everything I think that she has put out at this point. Yeah, just from 2024. Again, I got this from Book Outlet, so definitely make sure to check out Book Outlet if you are in the market for some new books. A lot of times they do have ones that are quite recent because they get overflow from Costco, Target, places like that. And if you've never shopped from them before, you can use the link in my description to get some money off. So this says, for all of Kat's life, it's just been her and her mother Jamie, except for the 48 hours when Jamie was married and Kat had a stepbrother Liam. That all ended in an epic divorce, and Kat and Liam haven't spoken since. Now Jamie is a jewel thief trying to go straight, but she has one last job at billionaire Ross Sutherland's birthday party, and Kat's figured out a way to tag along. She runs into the last 2 people she wants to see, Liam and his father, who is a serial scammer who has his sights set on Ross Sutherland's youngest daughter. Kat and Liam are on a collision course to disaster, and when a Sutherland dies, they realize they might actually be in the killer's crosshairs themselves. Sounds like it'll be fun. I feel like Karen McManus books are never like my absolute favorites, but they're always a really enjoyable read. And books like this also are a great thing to read after you do get through a solid book like The Swan Thieves. So I have a feeling I'm going to read this and then this one. Another book that I am very excited to get to this spring is Heiresses, The Lives of the $1 Million Babies by Laura Thompson. This is one that I have for sure been looking at on my shelf for way too long. This is good for like nosy people like myself. So basically we're just looking into the lives of heiresses, including Mary Davies, who inherited London's most valuable real estate and was bartered from the age of 12, Consuelo Vanderbilt, the original American dollar heiress forced into a loveless marriage, Barbara Hutton, who was the Woolworth heiress who married 7 times and died almost penniless, and Patty Hearst, heiress to a newspaper fortune who was arrested for terrorism. And then some other ones as well, but overall, this just sounds so interesting. I love learning about people of the past, and I do think it is always good to keep in check the fact that just because someone has a lot of money or has a lot of fame does not mean that their life is great or that they're happy. And this is not too thick, so hopefully the stories will be pretty concise since the book does cover a lot of different people. And I've never read anything by Laura Thompson before, but I think her books are pretty highly rated overall. And next we have Rules of Civility by Amor Towles. I apologize if that's not how you say his name. So this is set in 1937, one of my favorite time periods to read about. So 2 people have a chance encounter. It sounds like maybe one person is higher up in society, one person is not. And their encounter propels her on a year-long journey toward the upper echelons of New York society, where she will have little to rely upon other than a bracing wit and her own brand of cool nerve. Really excited to read this one. I have all 3 of this author's books and I need to get to them, but I want to read them in order, so this one's up first. Okay, 2 more, and this one I am so excited to read because I loved the other book I read by this author. This is The Marriage Portrait by Maggie O'Farrell. I read Hamnet finally, I think like last September or October, and I really loved that. Absolutely 5 stars, top read of the year for me. And when I was talking about this in a recent haul, one of you guys said that you actually preferred this book to Hamnet, and I think you also liked Hamnet too, so that's good. But Maggie O'Farrell, she has some of my favorite covers. The Hamnet one was very similar to this, but I loved her writing style, artistic, but not too over the top, I think. This one is set in Florence in the 1550s. Lucrezia, 3rd daughter of the Grand Duke, is comfortable with her obscure place in the palazzo, free to wonder at its treasures, observe its clandestine workings, and devote herself to her own artistic pursuits. But when her older sister dies on the eve of her wedding to the ruler of Ferrara, Modena, and Reggio, Lucrezia is thrust unwittingly into the limelight. The Duke is quick to request her hand in marriage, and her father just as quick to accept on her behalf. And it says, Maggie O'Farrell brings the world of Renaissance Italy to jewel-bright life and offers an unforgettable portrait of a resilient young woman's battle for her very survival. So I don't know if this is also based on a true story like Hamnet, so we'll see, but I'm sure I'm gonna love this, and I like that it's set in Italy in the 1550s because I just haven't read many books that have that setting. And then last, but I'm sure not least, we have The Deadly Hours. So this is by Susanna Kearsley, C.S. Harris, Annalee Huber, and Christine Trent. And it says it's a stellar lineup of historical mystery novelists that weaves the tale of a priceless and cursed gold watch as it passes through time, wreaking havoc from one owner to another. I think this is going to be so good. I love the sound of this. From 1733 Italy to Edinburgh in 1831 to a series of chilling murders in 1870 London and a lethal game of revenge decades later, the watch touches lives with misfortune. The characters are irrevocably linked by fate, each playing a key role in breaking the curse until the watch finally comes to one young woman who might be able to stop it for good. So I've actually never read anything, I don't think, by any of these authors, but the story overall sounds so good to me. It's like a mix of historical fiction, fantasy, magical realism, mystery. So I think this is going to be such a fun read. Absolutely one of the ones that I'm most eager to get to. So I am very excited to read all of these books over the next 2 months, and do let me know if you've read any of them before. I think there are a lot of potential 5-star reads, and here in the South we are very much in sitting outside, getting a tan weather, so I am for sure gonna be sitting by the beach a lot of days this spring, hopefully getting a little bit darker over time, and just doing a lot of reading in my free time. So let me know what you think, let me know what you are reading this spring, and if you like this video, please make sure to give me a big thumbs up and subscribe. It really helps my channel out a lot. Thanks again for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye!